Greetings, family. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Today is Sunday. It is May the 11th, 2025, and the time is 6:13 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I thought I would just come on briefly to tell you all that President Trump said something very interesting on his Truth Social. But before I tell you about that, I just want to let you know that it's always been my um, desire to hang around people that were kind of in the know. And so God has blessed me to be around people that are in politics, people that know a little bit about finances and economics. And I did study at the graduate level in finances, economics, and business. And also to meet people who are high up in the military who has had some type of job dealing with either rescuing people on secret rescue missions or helping to take down the deep state. And because my family comes from a military background and my great grandfather was a political refugee from Colombia way back and several decades ago, then I think God has just kind of placed me in certain ways or certain places. But because of that, it makes me feel very compelled to share with you different things that I've heard. And one thing I heard just being around a multi-billionaire and not necessarily being in close proximity with him, but being an affiliate with Miles Franklin Precious Metals Company and the president, Andy Schectman, he has taught me a lot about how things happen behind the scenes. And one of the things he has always told me is, Kia, you're going to go to sleep on a Sunday and wake up Monday morning to a whole new reality. So I've kept that in mind and I've stated it many times. And now I believe it, especially since President Trump made an announcement on his Truth Social just today about what's probably going to happen tomorrow. But before I get into that, I see some of you talking about silver and gold in the comment section and saying that Dave XRP Lion 1 said that gold may go down to $50 or $60 per ounce. But right now, gold is about $3,300 per ounce, and it had reached a new all-time high of above 3,500 just last month. So if you are in the market for gold or silver or any precious metals, then I would highly recommend Miles Franklin Precious Metals Company, with whom I've been an affiliate for many years. You can reach out to Andy Schectman at 952-929-7006, or you can send an email to info@milesfranklin.com. That's info@milesfranklin.com. And just say that Dr. Kia Pruitt recommended you, or that you heard about silver and gold from our show, or that just that this is the best place to get silver and gold. They have been in business for several decades. They have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau with no complaints. And they've reached well over $10 billion. And that was last year when they reached over $10 billion in sales. And they've reached well over that, and multimillionaires and billionaires. And we everyday people have reached out to them because they have the best customer service in the business. And when you tell them you are an affiliate or associated with the Dr. Kia Pruitt Show, you will get the best prices. Andy says that himself. Now, if you are in the membership group, I give you my personal broker's name, because my personal broker and I have a very good relationship with Miles Franklin. What I like about all the brokers there is they have information on geopolitics, economics, finances, global economics, and any type of geopolitical news that can help you prepare for leaving a legacy and wealth for your families. So I see you all checking in the chat, family. Thank you so much for joining us from all over the world. Happy Mother's Day to the mommies and all the mamas out there. And whether you're a biological mom, or maybe you are a foster mom, or you might just be a loving goddess. So happy Goddess Day. Happy Divine Feminine Day to all the mothers out there. We greatly appreciate you. And we know that the sacrifices that you've made and all the things that you've done for your family have not gone unnoticed. So happy Mother's Day, everybody. And to all the fathers out there who support the mothers, thank you so much for supporting the divine feminine, for loving your wives and your children's mothers and your grandmothers and your aunties and all the people who have taken care of your family. Somebody says you don't have any sound. Do you have sound? Let me know if you can hear me. I only saw one person say that they don't have any sound. If you don't hear me, let me know. If you do hear me, please let me know. Kath says Dr. Kia needs more likes. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, family. Oh, thank you for saying I look beautiful. Franny says she can hear. Thank you. Keep chiming in. I was a little tardy because I've been having issues with Rumble connecting, and I'm still saying there's an error occurring on Rumble. This is usually temporary. People always say, you need to go to Rumble. They don't censor you, but I've had issues with Rumble from the beginning for several years, whether it's been getting paid at all, getting paid on time, connectivity issues, having challenges, just connecting them to my live stream, going live on Rumble. And as a matter of fact, just recently, some people took to Twitter and said the same thing, but I've been having this issue for years. And it just could be that some of the same people that own mainstream media and some of the social media outlets also have some type of stake or ownership in Rumble, which comes out of Canada. So again, family, I was just saying in the beginning that I try to associate with everybody, but particularly when it comes to figuring out what's happening in the know or behind the scenes, then I do my best to just be quiet and listen to entrepreneurs, because entrepreneurs and people that operate in a private sector have a tendency to think a little differently from consumers, because people in a private who have businesses and who are entrepreneurs, they are usually creative and they're producers. So producers usually have a different mindset from people that just consume, because producers have to think about their product and their bottom line and marketing and just different things that everyday people may not have to take into account, because everyday people may not have the time, energy, or money or resources to produce something. And so many of us are just surviving that it's kind of hard to think at that different level. So what you'll notice when you are around or you talk to people that are producers is that they have the typical mindset to look at the long range. They don't look just at something that what's going to happen today or tomorrow. They don't necessarily have 5-year plans, 10-year plans. They have 100-year plans, 1,000-year plans. And they have to not only plan for their families, but they have to plan for their communities, for society, for the world, as they produce certain things. So when Andy Schectman, the CEO and president of Miles Franklin, said, Precious Metals Company said to me years ago, you're going to go to sleep on a Sunday and wake up Monday to a whole new reality. I paused, I wrote that down, and he and I even did a podcast on that. And that was one of the first times he ever said that to me was in 2022. And I noted that and remember that because we were the first ones that were actually talking about the BRICS bloc and how 85% of the global population had joined the BRICS alliance, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, in dropping the dollar for trade and using their own local currencies. So could this be the night that we would go to sleep and wake up to a whole new reality on Monday, tomorrow morning? I see some of you saying what you think Trump could be alluding to. But for those of you who don't know, what just happened a couple hours ago is that on Truth Social, President Trump says, my next truth will be one of the most important and impactful I have ever issued. Enjoy. So I would like to know what you all think that announcement could be, or that truth could be. Someone stated that Democrats aren't afraid Trump will fail and destroy our country. They're afraid he will succeed and destroy their political ideology. So let's stay with them and keep our minds elevated and keep our energies and frequencies raised, because he definitely is going to make an announcement, family. I know it for sure. And as a matter of fact, I can give you an idea of what that's going to be. Okay. But that will be on my next podcast called Breaking. This huge announcement that just happened will change everything. So I'll put that link in the chat for you. That's what we're going to talk about next at about 7:00, what that next huge announcement will be. And let me take a pause, or will likely be, for those of you that are sending me Cash App blessings. Thank you so much. I see you, and I hear the Cash Apps coming through. And I do want to acknowledge you. So let me see right quick. Thank you for supporting my work and for staying with me. Also, thank you all for joining our Silver Soul Tribe membership. I appreciate that. And as I said before, everybody that made the deadline, I did send you silver to the address that you sent me. So I hope you will enjoy that 0.999 pure real silver that Dr. Kia Pruitt and the Dr. Kia Pruitt Show sent you, so that you can start your silver stacking if you haven't, or so that you can add it to your collection. So thank you so much, Sister Dorian Garner, Ebony Johnson, Sister Ebony Johnson, Sister Cleopatra, and beautiful Max Ministry. That's Chief Mac. Sister Sheila, Sister Deborah, thank you so much. Michael George, I appreciate you sending a Cash App. And Norma Salazar, thank you so very much. If you desire to join, you didn't get anything, Pamela? So what I did was I gave everybody a week from the beginning of my announcement that we joined, or that we started a membership page or membership group. I gave everybody a week. Thank you so much, Ray Wortman, for the Cash App blessing. I appreciate you. I gave everybody a week, and then I told them to send me an email. Send me an email with their address. And if they sent their address within those 7 days, I sent everybody some silver. And we had a lot of people who joined the membership group. Thank you again, Ray and Dorian. And I left my email just for the membership tribe, the Silver Soul Tribe. I left my email in that personal group. So Pamela, if you met the deadline, then please let me know. It was in the first 7 days, and we'll send that out to you as soon as possible. You can hear me? Awesome. And if you are interested in joining the group, this is the link to the Soul Tribe membership group. So while you guys are checking in, let me see if I can connect Rumble. And we'll talk about what we think President Trump is still having issues with Rumble. President Trump could be saying, what he could be talking about. So in the description section, in the chat, let us know what you think President Trump will announce. Dills 333 says, once the lights go out and come back on, we will be living in a different world. I agree. Hello, Marquitas. It's so good to see you. God bless you as well. Justice is in the house. Tylette says, the creator, watch over. He's not happy, but he has compassion. The creator's not playing. Do you know this planet can be destroyed in minutes? Wow. Pamela, I sent out 2 different packages. I sent out one 2 weeks ago and then one this week. I don't know if I saw you in the list. So thank you for being a member. When we go to the membership meeting at 7:00, I'll leave you my personal email there for the membership tribe. Okay. So what I wanted to tell you guys is that it's very, very likely that President Trump is going to make an announcement that relates to the financial and economic situation that's going on, not only in America or in the world. Because we know that President Trump had stated that he wanted to meet with 90 countries within 90 days in order to discuss trade deals and tariff negotiations, because many of the countries that we have been importing goods into had taxed America into oblivion. But when they imported their goods into America, we weren't taxing them. or we put very little tariffs on them. And that was a whole part of the socialist and the democratic agenda, which became one and the same, to allow the CCP, or the Chinese Communist Party, to own a lot of land here, to put land, to own a lot of farmland here, to put their military here, to own a lot of commercial property. The CCP and the Socialist and Democratic Party intended for China to infiltrate every segment of our society. And that's why on February the 8th, you saw Mike Pompeo speak at the governor's conference, February the 8th, 2020. And he told all the governors at that governor's conference, we know how complicit you've been with the CCP. He said the Chinese Communist Party has infiltrated every segment and sector of our society: politics, government, sex, entertainment, education. What else is there? Media, finances, economics, research, health. Every segment of our society, you governors have been complicit in allowing the CCP to infiltrate those different areas of our lives here in America. And you not only allowed the CCP to take control, but you had intended to make this whole country a socialist country. So this was February 8, 2020 at the governor's conference. You can look that up on YouTube. Mike Pompeo, who was a CIA director at some point, an ex-CIA director, had a report card. And he said this at the conference, of every single governor that had been complicit with the CCP. And he said, I can tell from this report card that the Chinese gave you, the CCP gave you, how complicit you've been with the CCP. You have literally been graded from A to F on a scale, how complicit you've been with the CCP. So I am urging you to do the right thing, he said, because we know who you are and we know what you've done. Now, whether or not he's a good guy or not, I can't say, because I don't know anything about Mike Pompeo, but he was doing what he was told February 8, 2020, and he implored them to not allow their military, the CCP or Chinese military, to come in and take over. And he said, this is very serious. Well, that was in February. Most governors did not listen to him. And then in March, we had that global pandemic and the shutdown. My thoughts from listening to his speech on February 8, 2020 was that actually he was warning them to not allow for the whole country to be shut down, but they went along with it anyway. But what happened after that shutdown is that the good guys of the white hats in the military, the Grand Army of the Republic, and the Nasara White Knights actually used that time when the whole world was shut down to make mass arrests. And I actually published an article before the shutdown telling everybody it was going to happen, that we were going to have a shutdown of the world, that we were going to have curfews. And that article, actually I just wrote it on my Facebook page. It went viral before it happened. And somebody took it off my Facebook page, and they published it in And We Know, which was a YouTube channel, and they published it on Before It's News and Rumble Mills. And I started getting calls from all over the world, because I have friends all over the world, because I've been on social media for a while, who were saying, you're kind of crazy predicting that there's going to be a shutdown. There's not going to be a shutdown in the world. There's no way we'll have a curfew. But, then the thing just went viral right before the shutdown, like late February, early March, and then March we had the shutdown. And again, what happened though is that the white hats used it as an opportunity to start making mass arrests. And you can go to resignation.info to see some of the people that have been arrested or forced to resign. I think the name of my article at that time was Corona is a Cover. Corona, yes. So what I did was I took the link from that article and I saved it, but I also copy and pasted it, because a lot of times what you write and publish goes unnoticed, or they'll scrub it from the internet. And so I wrote this like at the very beginning of March. Somebody took it from my Facebook page and they posted it on March the 12th, right before the announcement was made on the 13th that the whole world would be shut down. And basically, somebody by the name of Mr. Ed took it and put it in rumor mills, and it went viral all across social media. And churches got the announcement, people all over the world. Thanks be to the Most High, alhamdulillah. So here I just said we were told years ago that there would be an event that would quarantine America and possibly the planet in order to make global mass arrests. We were encouraged to stock up on food, water, and supplies. We were also instructed to remain calm. Martial law may be implemented to keep people off the street while these arrests occur. Schools would be closed, flights grounded, airports closed, etc. But why? Because the people being arrested for participating in corruption and worldwide PDF in human trafficking, crimes against humanity, treason, murder, ape rape, etc., is massive, and it affects every aspect of society, I wrote. This includes Hollywood entertainers, which, by the way, now these entertainers are doing things like DJing and making social media posts because they're broke. As a matter of fact, Shaq was here in Jacksonville last night DJing at a bar downtown because they're broke. But I said, because the people being arrested for participating in corruption and worldwide PDF and human trafficking, crimes against humanity, treason, murder, ape rape is massive and affects every segment of society. This includes Hollywood entertainers, NBA and NFL athletes and staff, politicians, pastors. Now we see pastors are being arrested, banking CEOs, corporate heads, school officials, coaches, and educators. Some of your doctors, lawyers, judges, college professors, school teachers, policy enforcers or police officers, chiefs, firemen, business owners, airport workers, pilots, bankers, priests, everyday people are currently being arrested, I wrote in March 2020, for their crimes against humanity. A lot of them are involved in nefarious behaviors and secret societies. So the masses have not been privy to their wrongdoings, ritualistic abuse, child trafficking, child hunting parties, ritualistic murder maze, thank you for the Cash App blessing, drug trafficking, involvement in underground activities in the deep underground military bases, also known as DUMBs. This is why some of us reported on a notable resignation list for 2 years, I wrote in 2020. Many people were on that list under the guise of resignation. We also reported on military tribunals, which began January 2019. Some of us actually watched those military tribunals take place on c-vine.com. That's true. The corruption is huge. The president of the United States, who then was President Trump in 2020, has asked that people not be in crowds. One reason, other than catching the virus, is because the deep state, New World Order corrupt leaders could attempt to retaliate, since they know that we've been involved in a covert operation or a secret operation against them. So be safe, I wrote. The planet is being cleansed. The C virus is a cover. While it is true that the deep state global New World Order elites created the virus and attempted to infect the masses, Trump and the global alliances co-opted the operation, and they used it as a cover to arrest global elites, including the Pope and the unroyal families, what I call them, politicians and Hollywood elites. The mainstream media will announce that folks came down with the virus. Actually, they've been arrested. Some have been at Gitmo for a while, actually. At some point, an announcement will be made, I wrote. Remain calm and stock up. Those people who don't have food and supplies will have an opportunity to get it from their neighbors or the military, because troops will likely be on the ground, I wrote March 2020 before the shutdown, to 1, make arrests, and 2, keep everyone calm. A curfew may be implemented. We were instructed also that the new monetary policies and our new gold-backed system will be implemented and trillions injected into the economy after the global mass arrest. Otherwise, these nefarious beings would have once again stolen our wealth and re-empowered themselves, I wrote. Soon, the Republic, our lawful government, will be restored and constitutional law as well. Be encouraged. Things are finally getting better for humanity. What an exciting time to be alive. Early March, I wrote 2020. Soon we will enjoy the benefits of Nasara Jasara and our sovereignty. And finally, enjoy planetary peace and prosperity. Be well. Signed by Dr. Kia Pruitt. And interestingly enough, Sovereignty, which was the name of the horse that won the Kentucky Derby, was announced as being the winner on March the 4th, 2025, this year, a few days ago. So it seemed like a lot of things that I was talking about back then was a little off. As a matter of fact, on my Twitter account, people were calling me a fraud. I was a fake. They were saying I wasn't a real doctor. They just had a ball really trying to defame my character. But, God let me know what was going on, and my research led me to understand and overstand that this stuff was real. I've been reporting on this for well over a decade, but I wrote this article. It was a Facebook post that I wrote, and somebody took it and they published it on many different publications in March, right before the announcement of the CV. And this is one publication where somebody put my announcement here. Coronavirus is a cover. The planet is being cleansed. They published this one March 13th. No, they published it March the 12th. You can see that right here. And it says, the source was Mr. Ed, but it was written by Dr. Kia Pruitt. Mr. Ed took it from whoever that is, from my Facebook page, or somebody sent it to him, and he sent it to Operation Disclosure, Rumor Mills, and other places. And here is he sent it to them by email. So my point is, a lot of things that we say may seem a little different or a little weird, but we have proof, and now we see those things actually coming to fruition. So this is one of the reasons why I do have a private group, because for me saying this, one of my channels was shut down. For me alerting the people what God told me was about to happen before it even happened, my YouTube channel got shut down. Then I started alerting people about gold and saying, we're moving to the gold standard, so please start getting gold. And I read Andy Schekman's father's letter. Andy Schekman is the CEO and president of Miles Franklin Precious Metals Company. And if you guys are on Twitter listening, y'all know when this happened. Andy is on Twitter as well. He knows. He was like, why did your channel get shut down? He knows. And I told him, while I was reading your dad, David Schekman, the owner and creator of Miles Franklin Precious Metals Company, his letter was urging people, get gold now, get silver now, because what he was saying, because the economy is going crazy and it's uncertain. So when the economy is uncertain, people usually rush to real metal, real money, silver and gold, because silver and gold are real money. Silver and gold are hedged against inflation. Silver and gold is a way to preserve your wealth. It's also something that you can pass down. It's constitutional money. All merchants also recognize silver and gold as money, and they also recognize constitutional silver, or which is known as junk silver, as a bartering tool. So again, if you're interested in precious metals, give Andy Schekman a call at Miles Franklin Precious Metals Company. But I've had my channel shut down for many, many reasons. And this is why I have a public channel, and then I have a private channel for people that want to hear sensitive information. So I'm going to tell you all on my private channel at 7 o'clock what we believe this announcement will be that President Trump is going to make. R39 says, in my opinion, this currency thing will not be announced. It will just happen. That sounds good too. Someone says, this is a list of over 600 of the worst evil arrests, executions that came out 6 years ago. It's mind-blowing. Also, you can go to resignation.info and see a list of many arrests. Over 10,000 people, I think. I'll show you, and then we'll get back to what we're talking about today. Here it is for those of you who want to see this list. And this list still hasn't been updated. Notable resignation list. Sorry for no update, somebody says. But 14,000 resignations of almost 14,000 people within 10,000 organizations in 171 countries. You'll see president of World Bank arrested or forced to resign. The vice president of South Africa, CEO of YouTube, February 2023, Royal Canadian Police Commissioner, et cetera, Defense Minister of Germany, and it goes on and on. And you can go and look at all of the different pages. But I just wanted to show you that this is a real thing that's been happening for some time now. So what will Trump announce? We don't know. But again, we know that he said that he's going to make a huge announcement. And he said that the next post on Truth Social will be one of the most important or most impactful that he's ever made. Now, one of the things I wanted to say before I kind of went off on the CCP or Chinese Communist Party infiltrating every segment of our society is that not long ago we had the 400 million people to defect from the Chinese Communist Party. And they were so happy to leave because many of them were born into it, or they were forced into it, or they were blackmailed into the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party. But they were so happy to be able to leave the party that they had this huge celebration in New York called Taong. So this Chinese Taong movement recorded 400 million people who renounced communism and they left the party, had this huge celebration that was really, really joyous. And that again was like around 2022. Yes, this was posted or published August the 3rd, 2022. And right after that, what we saw was China's largest real estate company called Evergrande filed bankruptcy here in America. And then shortly after that, they were forced to liquidate their assets. So whereas these people who were posing to be Americans as our presidents or congressmen or politicians that had colluded with China and the CCP or the Communist Party to overtake America and turn her into a communist society, now we have President Trump being commissioned by the White Hats and White Knights of Nassau, White Hats of the military, also known as the Grand Army of the Republic, to take down the deep state. They have totally dismantled the CCP and they have taken them down. They have arrested many of them and they forced them to liquidate their assets, which is why Evergrande, the largest real estate company owned by the CCP, filed bankruptcy here in America. They owned a lot of land on military bases. They owned a lot of farmland, like I said earlier, commercial property and residential homes, not only in America, but all over the world. Well, that's over now. So people think that Trump is supposed to be nice to the CCP and China, but China was importing a lot of their goods. And I don't mean the People's Republic of China. I'm talking about the Chinese Communist Party. Those are two separate entities. The People's Republic of China is their sovereign nation. The CCP is the Bloodline families that were owning and controlling China, just like we had Bloodline families owning and controlling America. By the way, if you didn't catch my video on They Lied to Us, then you really should see that, because I said, oh my God, they lied. These bloodlines really ruled the world. In that video, I talk about how they told us about the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, etc., Carnegies, etc. But there are bloodline families behind those families. This is the video right here. I said, we didn't know who truly ruled the world. Oh my God, they lied. These bloodlines family really ruled the world, not who you think. In that video, I talk about how there are some bloodline families, the Orsini's, the Medicis, et cetera, that people don't know about that actually controlled the world, and how those bloodline families were allegedly tied to Haile Selassie. And this may have been one of the reasons why, and I need to put up my part 2 to that video. There might be one of the reasons why the Queen of England bowed down to Haile Selassie. Nobody bows down to maybe the Queen doesn't bow down to anybody, allegedly, right? Or when she was alive, but she certainly bowed down to Haile Selassie, who was a president in Ethiopia. But many people reported to me that he actually was American and he fled to Ethiopia. But Haile Selassie and those bloodline families that controlled the world were actually human hybrids or non-human entities that came to the planet and controlled the planet. I only talk about that briefly about how they're not humans in that video, but that's a very, very good video, I think, because we're always told about white supremacy and how Caucasian people and Europeans control everything, but we don't talk about the bloodline families that actually use them as handlers, and how those bloodline families use brown people, and their overlords are non-human. So just briefly, here are the 13 families that we think run the world. And that's on my post. This is a public post on my YouTube channel. You can go to the community section. And then the 13 families who actually run the world: the Borgia, the Breakspear, the Somaglia, the Orsini, the Conti, the Chigi, sounds like Chicago bloodline, the Colonna bloodline, from whom Christopher Columbus was a part or came. The Farneses, the Medici, sounds like medicine. They're probably the ones that control medicine. The Gottney, the Pamphili, the Este bloodline, and the Aldobrandini bloodline. Those are the ones that really actually controlled the world. But the ones that we know of are the Astors, the Bundys, the Collins. Remember the Al Bundy show? The Collins, the DuPonts, the Freeman, Kennedy bloodline, the Lee bloodline, the Onassis bloodline, the Reynolds bloodline, the Rockefeller, Rothschilds, Russells, and Van Duyn are the ones that we know about. Okay. These people have controlled the planet for a very long time, but thankfully we have non-human entities that I truly have encountered some, and so have some of you, that are behind the scenes that have come back to help humanity. And we have the Grand Army of the Republic, and we have alliances all over the world that have taken down the deep state. One of the ways that they did this, other than bankrupting the United States Incorporated, which was incorporated in 1871 in Delaware as a nonprofit religious organization with the Pope ahead of it, was to coalesce against their central banking system, the Federal Reserve central banking system, and stop trading with the United States dollar. Because the United States dollar has a lot of sigils on it. It's not backed by anything. It was used to enslave humanity. It also was used to make these bloodline families, the United States Incorporated, world power. What gave the United States Incorporated financial and economic hegemony was our secret agreement with Saudi Arabia to protect the Saudi kingdom in exchange for their oil. And then we would force all exporting nations to trade oil from get oil from Saudi Arabia and trade it with United States dollar. And if they didn't use the United States dollar, they had to use their country currency pegged to the United States dollar. But for the most part, they used the USD. And that's what made the United States dollar the world reserve currency, that secret agreement between the United States Incorporated and Saudi Arabia. Well, now Saudi Arabia is a part of BRICS, the Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa coalition. And they don't have an agreement with the United States Incorporated. The agreement we had on paper not only ended in 2022 when Saudi Arabia joined the BRICS coalition and deciding not to trade with the dollar, but that agreement that we had on paper was not renewed as of last year, 2024. Additionally, you had the Supreme Court of the United States to say that state-sponsored banks here in America no longer had to comply with the Federal Reserve central banking system, but in fact, they can have their own charter and they can operate independently from the United States Federal Reserve central banking system. And the state-sponsored banks can now issue out their own gold currency. So here in America, we're positioning ourselves to return to the gold standard by making sure that these banks state-sponsored banks, because now states are sovereign according to our republic, they can issue out their own gold-backed currency. That's why the Basel III compliancy, two of them say that banks had to recognize gold as a tier 1 asset, meaning they had to recognize gold as money, and banks had to receive what they're calling tier 2 assets, which are foreign reserve notes or foreign currencies. If you go to my community section, I'll tell you what tier 2 assets are. And if you go to the private membership group, you'll see that I'll give you a detailed breakdown of how banks met globally to ensure that they were ready for currency exchanges. And basically what the article state that I pulled up is that banks have to have foreign reserve currencies in order to maintain the health of the bank and make sure the banks are stable against bankruptcy. But I go into detail to prove to you that banks met globally and that they are ready for currency exchanges. That's a part of the membership group. So we know that President Trump and the Supreme Court of the United States has been very busy. We also know that state legislatures, the benevolent ones, have worked very hard to return us to the gold standard. Now we know that the Republic for America and the Constitution for our Republic states that the only thing that can be used to pay off gold in America are silver and gold, and that the dollar is defined as a fixed weight in silver. We also know that the Congress Coinage Act of April the 2nd, 1792 was the precursor, thank you for the Cash App blessing, was the precursor to the gold standard, and that made silver the standard of the Congress Coinage Act of 1792. And that was commemorated April the 2nd of 2025. But additionally to all this, all that the Supreme Court of the United States is doing and making sure that banks are Basel compliant, that banks have tier 2 assets, foreign reserve notes, and ready to receive your foreign notes. They recognize that banks now have to recognize gold as money or gold as a tier 1 asset. Banks can now have their own charter and operate independently from the Federal Reserve central banking system and issue out their own gold-backed currency. But also 45 states, according to the Sound Money Defense League and according to Dr. Pruitt, because I've been reporting on this for almost a decade, as each state would do this, have repealed the sales taxes from precious metals. And now what they've done by repealing the sales taxes from precious metals is restoring gold and silver as money. So they're aligning with the Constitution for our Republic by saying we're taking away taxes from silver and gold. And the reason why the state legislatures are saying no more taxing silver and gold is because they're saying the Republic says silver and gold are money, and the Constitution for our Republic saying taxing money is treasonous. So by 45 states repealing the sales tax from precious metals, they're now reclaiming gold and silver as money. So it's a possibility that President Trump will allude to that. But my point is there are now only five states, and some articles would say only 4 states that have not passed legislation to repeal sales taxes from precious metals. But the article states that they intend to do that in 2025. So you have states in America that are on board to return us to the gold standard. You have the Supreme Court of the United States now saying that state-sponsored banks or state banks can now issue their own gold-backed currency. They are now operate independently from the Federal Reserve, and they're their own entity because each state, according to our Republic, is actually a country. Then you have the whole world coalescing against the central banking system by refusing to trade with the dollar. So everything is ready. The gold standard is ready. DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, has followed the orders of the Supreme Court of the United States in downsizing the government. Therefore, the 441 government agencies like the FBI, the CIA, CPS, IRS have been dismantled for the most part, or they're being downsized because the Supreme Court of the United States found them treasonous, unconstitutional, and unlawful this past summer. So what am I saying? Trump said that he's about to make the most impactful announcement that he's ever made. And that is in alignment with Andy Schectman, the CEO, and the president of Miles Franklin Precious Metals Company, saying we're going to go to sleep on Sunday night and wake up to a Monday morning to a whole new reality. He never said which year, but I always said noted. So we have the Supreme Court of the United States downsizing the government, the Chevron doctrine being overturned, DOGE working hard to get rid of these government programs, President Trump getting rid of the public sector and boosting up the private sector, which are private sector is just made up of individuals or groups that operate independently from the government, doing business transactions with themselves in their own country and in between nations. So it's a good thing to get rid of the public sector so that now we can become more sovereign and independent. That is why sovereignty, the name of the horse, won the Kentucky Derby on May the 3rd, right before the 4th of May, when the world protest was supposed to end against Trump. So Trump is doing a wonderful job. It's possible he can talk about or announce the republic being restored and our sovereignty being restored. Additionally, we know that he said he would meet with 90 countries within 90 days in trade agreements and make sure that those countries that we had that taxed American imports will also be taxed. Now, the mainstream media was smart aleck about it, and they said good luck with that. And I did a podcast on that 2 days ago, and on April the 1st, when Trump, because the 2nd was his deadline, mainstream media said, good luck with that. Good luck with meeting with 90 countries within 90 days. But Trump said on Twitter and on True Social not long ago that all of the countries have complied. And I did a report on that. But this is one of the most recent articles that said 75 countries have reached out to President Trump. They want to negotiate with him, and 15 countries are in active negotiations with President Trump. And I've told you all, and I've broken it down, how these tariffs and these trade deals and the discussion on tariffs will force a currency revaluation. This will force all countries to actually reinstate their country's currencies by having these trade discussions, because one of the things I said was when Vietnam announced that they're ready to do business with Trump, that created a high demand for the Vietnamese dong. And in that article, one of those articles I read, it said that now people want the Vietnamese dong. And what I said to you is that when you see a high demand for something, that means that it becomes more valuable because the supply will shrink. That's a basic economic principle, economic 101, the law of supply and demand. High demand, low supply makes that commodity more valuable. Also, if you want to do business with us, the dollar is now, or the real currency that we have now, is now backed by gold, which is why Trump looked at and monitored, and he wanted to see what type of gold was in Fort Knox and what type of gold was in Phoenix or in Arizona and other places as well. We wanted to look at the gold that was flowing along the Colorado River, and we found an article that said that the gold was at Fort Knox, and I reported on that before. In the interest of time, I'm not going to go too much longer in this podcast. So you have all countries complying with Trump now, at least reaching out to him, 15 in active agreements with him. You have the BRICS coalition, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and all those nations that joined BRICS that have stopped trading with the dollar and now using their own local currencies. You have the Shanghai Cooperation organizations, which are the Asian nations that are no longer trading with the dollar, which means the whole world are now compliant with Operation Sandman, the secret agreement that when triggered, all 209 nations would agree to stop trading with the dollar and use their own local currencies backed by precious metals for trade. It's happening right now in real time. And in America, our republic has secretively or covertly been restored, and in order to make sure that legally their legalities and their bills have been passed to comply or align with our Constitution for our republic. 45 legislators have not only presented bills to end taxes on the sales of precious metals, but they've passed those bills. So that aligns with our Constitution that says the only thing that can be used as money is silver and gold. 45 states have already agreed, but it doesn't matter if the other 5 does or does not, because the Constitution for our republic already says that silver and gold is money. The Congress Coinage Act of 1792 says the same thing, and they peg the dollar to silver. But my point is, our dollar, not the USD that was connected to the Federal Reserve Central Banking System, but the real dollar. Remember, the Constitution defines the dollar as a fixed weight in silver, is already backed by precious metals. Not only do we have precious metals, but we found in Wyoming last year 2.34 billion metric tons of rare earth minerals. We have all of our gold repatriated back from the Vatican. The Pope is dead now. He no longer exists. The Queen is gone. King Charles is about to be gone. You see blackouts in Europe because those are coded messages that Europe no longer controls America. And we see sovereignty being the horse that won the Kentucky Derby against journalism, which to me represents mainstream media, but journalism was the favorite horse. We see all these clues. We see the Supreme Court of the United States overturning the Chevron doctrine, which ends the fake government agencies, the 441 that I named for you and listed to you, and you can find it on the community section of my YouTube channel. Those all have to be downsized. All of this is working together for what? For the restoration of our republic, our sovereignty, our prosperity, and global peace. So everybody's complying. We're already on the gold standard all over the world. The government is being downsized. The public sectors are being dismantled. Private sector is now coming back online. All these countries are now announcing their sovereignty, announcing the gold standard, and announcing that they've gotten rid of corruption. I do a whole deep dive about how Iraq has already revalued their currency and how al-Sudani talked about the three things that he would do before he actually announced the rate for the Iraqi dinar. And when I in that podcast, I show you that he's finished with everything. Iraq, Vietnam, Zimbabwe, a lot of these places, Venezuela, a lot of these places actually came to America and asked billionaires and entrepreneurs to invest in their country because they have a lot of resources to exploit. So these countries are even ready, family, to announce a revaluation of their currencies. So it's up to you to decide what this amazing announcement would be, or for you to do your research, or we can just wait, because trust me, you will go to sleep tonight, Sunday night on May the 11th, 2025, which is a portal. The 11 is a portal. You will go to sleep one night, tonight, Sunday night, one way, and wake up Monday morning to a whole new reality. Again, President Trump said on his Truth Social that he's going to make the most impactful announcement that he has ever made. And it will happen. To put it to you just the way he said, my next truth will be one of the most important and impactful I have ever issued. Enjoy. He made that announcement today at 2:31 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, May the 11th. And in case you don't know, 611 is significant. I'll let you do a deep dive into what 611 represents, or 611, and how 11 is a doorway and a portal, out with the old, in with the new. So have an amazing night, family. Thank you so much for joining me. Hit the like button. Thank you. Subscribe to the channel and share the video. Thank you so much. No worries for sending us $50, for sending us a blessing. I appreciate you. May the Most High bless you and smile on you, give you long life, prosperity, and peace. I am very, very grateful for your financial gift, and for all of you all who sent a Cash App gift as well. Thank you so much. Thank you. I hear you right now. And thank you for your time, your energy, for your comments. I see you in the comment section. Chief Mack said, yes, it's the Black nobility that was actually running the world behind the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, and the Carnegies, and some of those other families that we name. The Black nobility, those Black because they were dark beings that came from other planets. And when they came from other planets, they came to America and some of the other nations where they had brown and dark people, and they infiltrated and shape-shifted to be like us. But that's why the song was made, they not like us, because they're not us. But we can do a whole nother deep dive on that, Chief Mack, about the Black nobility at some point, because people need to know that there is a hidden hand behind Freemasonry. That's the Black nobility. They're the rulers behind the chaos that we've been living in, and they created white supremacy. They created racism, Islam more. They created sexism, feminism, division, and all of that. Lee Bay says the Moors, the Moorish, the Mormon are originals, Aboriginal, Alkebulan, Africa inhabitants, Africans, in words, branded black so-called Negroes. Chat GPT says Trump just announced his big announcement on X. It has to do with pharmaceutical prices going down, nothing more. That's not true. If you join, I mean, that is true that he said that, but there is something more, and I'll announce that on my private, in my private group in a few minutes. You're welcome. And somebody says thank you, Chat GPT, but I have an announcement that's not that. Princess Alice, Duchess of Gloucester, bowed down to Haile Selassie, not the Queen of England. I have a picture of the Queen of England bowing to Haile Selassie. The Khazarian family still control the financial structure. They did, but not anymore. But I do appreciate you making that announcement. In 1913, Old Canaanite Temple, Newark, New Jersey, Moorish Science Temple of America, Divine National Movement. You're not Negroes, colored folks, or Black people, or Ethiopian Abyssinian. Okay, thank you, Lee. Let's see what else you're saying. Taxing money is stealing. Absolutely. It's unconstitutional. It's unlawful. Monique says counterfeit spirits are here. Go back standard. Somebody is saying call it the go back standard. Gold or go back. Some people call it different things. Thank you for saying what Trump announced, but when we go over to my group in 1 minute, I'll tell you something else that he announced. How do you join the group? I'll bring it to you right here. I'll put it in the chat. So you can go to any of my videos or to my main channel, YouTube channel, and right beside the description button is supposed to be a join button. Some people have an issue finding it unless they go to the laptop for some reason. I've had my issues with YouTube for a decade now. They've gotten rid of about 7 or 8 of my channels, but they finally gave me a link. So here's my link for if you want to join. Well, actually, I had to find it. Here's if you want to join the private group. And in that private group, you're welcome, Sister Francine, and peace be unto you too, Stefan. Islam Demetrius. So we'll see you in a private group because President Trump said his next truth will be very important and very impactful. So when you go to sleep tonight, family, say your mantras, or if you pray or whatever, do some meditation and get ready, because not only is the planet ascending, but your DNA is ascending and being activated. And that's what the second coming of Christ is about. Christos consciousness, your Christ consciousness arising. And that scripture talks about how the dead in Christ will ascend first, or they will rise, and then when at the second coming of Christ, and those that are alive and remain will be caught up to meet him in the air. From a metaphysical standpoint, that's about the evolution or the ascension of the planet and the ascension of all beings on the planet. We're all raising in our vibrations. Our DNA is being elevated. We'll soon be able to fly. Some of you are dreaming about flying. Some of you are dreaming about going underwater and living underwater because you used to be able to do that. Some of you are manifesting things very, very quickly, just at a thought, in a moment of a twinkling of an eye. You don't even have to say it. You think it and things happen, because we're in that time, family, where we are literally evolving to be higher evolutionary people or beings and entities. Right now, you need food to eat. A lot of people are even changing their diet because at some point you will absorb energy just like the light beings that are on different planets. And you will go to a point and live in a time period where you don't even use money. But before we get to that time where we don't use money, we don't need it, because we'll manifest and we'll absorb energy and we'll be able just to self-procreate and all that, like some of the other beings on other planes. Before we go to that, the source or the creator or the gods or whomever you all see as a supreme being or supreme beings, however you see it, desires for us all to be extremely wealthy. And that's why we're going to live in planetary abundance and global peace. We're going to have joy and our sovereignty is going to be restored. Thank you for the Cash App blessing. This is a wonderful, wonderful time to be alive, family. Thank you, Enrico, for being a member in our group. And thank you, R39 as well. We appreciate you joining the group. Yes, you're manifesting fast already, and Chief has manifested in its inheritance. Right. There likely won't be a physical rapture. This is all metaphysical. We're right, Sister Pamela? She said, I used to dream that I could fly. And some of you actually were able to levitate. When I was a child, I would levitate all the time. But that's it, family. Let's look forward to this beautiful announcement that's going to be made. Trump said it's going to be the most important and the most impactful that he's ever made. And again, this aligns with what Andy Schectman, the president and CEO of Miles Franklin Precious Metals, has always told me, that you're going to go to sleep on a Sunday night and wake up Monday morning to a whole new joyous reality. Join me in my membership only section, because we're going to talk about one of these announcements that hasn't made mainstream yet, that's going to be very impactful. That might be one of the announcements, probably will be one of the announcements that's made tomorrow. No, it's not about pharmaceuticals. This is huge. So I'll see you on my private section, on my membership section, in just about a minute or two. I'll show you what that video looks like right now. And if you're so inclined, join us and let's talk. Ask questions and let me know if you got the silver that I sent you. Okay, that is what this video looked like. Hopefully the join button is on that video. You can see that it's for members only. If you go to my page, my YouTube page, and I'm running late, so I won't be able to stay with you guys too much longer here. But let me give you the link one more time to join if you're ready, or if you're so inclined. Of course, nobody has to do anything. We'll put it in the chat. And we have videos again about the banks being ready for your currency exchange. We how to become a billionaire, how to become sovereign, and different things like that in my membership only group. And we'll do more promotionals. The first promotional was to give everybody silver that joined in the first 7 days, but we'll do something else very, very soon. Having said that, family, I love you all so very much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your energy. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you for sharing intel. Thank you for sending a Cash App gift to me to support my work. Thank you so much for everything that you've done, even for those of you that sent a super chat or a super sticker right here in the chat. I appreciate you. I love you. I got to go do the other podcast. My name is Dr. Kia Pruitt. I trust that I said something to raise your vibrations and inspire you to create the most amazing, magnificent life that you desire and deserve. You're welcome, family. See you in 1 minute on my membership section, my membership channel.